had my little meditation music on. Let me go ahead and switch that over. Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? I hope all is well. I hope all is well. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I'm excited to dive into today's topic. I hope y'all enjoyed y'all weekend, y'all's holiday. Ate some good food. I'm on my end. I'm busting out the healthy food this week because I acted a fool last week. A fool. But I'm excited to talk about our topic today. Let me get everything pulled up. And let me get my life together here. There we go. Okay, so today we are talking about coping skills. Thank you to everyone who voted on the poll. I think it was about 16, maybe 17 people on YouTube, and I want to say about 10 people on the Facebook. So thank you to everyone who voted. It was pretty much everyone voted heavily for the coping skills topic and the stress topic, which I feel like is kind of interwoven into tonight. I'll do another live, the next live next week on stress specifically, and we'll talk about that more in detail. Today will be specifically about coping skills, but stress will be woven in there too. So just to kind of give you guys some insight as to what to expect, this live is going to have a lot of journaling questions. So if you want to grab a journal, please do, so that way you can write down some of the journaling questions. I also have 4 affirmations that you can take away for today, because I'll say 4 because there is these are some longer affirmations, so I think it's better to do a little bit less that has a little bit more impact, a little bit more substance. So it will be just a few today, but several, when I mean several, journaling questions. So definitely grab your journal. Again, tonight we are talking about something that we all do, whether we realize it or not, and that is cope, right? We do different things, individual things for certain situations and for certain triggers and things that we may be experiencing, and we find ways to cope with those things. And coping can be very conscious or unconscious, right? Hello, Hiru, welcome in, welcome in. Can be very conscious or unconscious. And this is a matter of bringing what those coping skills are to the forefront, so you can discover and understand how you're coping and what's helpful and what may be harmful, okay? So let me actually put my glasses on, y'all, because I don't know why I'm here just thinking that I can just see. No, I need a little help, all right? So let me put my glasses on. While I put my glasses on and getting stuff together, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Ooh, they dirty. Where you're watching from in the comments. If you are currently feeling some form of stress, drop a heart in the comments for me. Let me see who is stressed, who needs some help with their coping skills and navigating coping skills. Let me know in the comments as I get my life together. Let's see here. That's better. That's better. Okay. Hello, is it Bristol Jones? Welcome in. Hello, L. Russell. Welcome in. Yeah, let me know where you're watching from. And if you are stressed right now and you're trying to figure out coping skills, drop a heart in the comments as I get things up here. Okay, so just coping skills in general are ways we try to manage stress, overwhelm, big emotions, and hard moments, okay? So some of our coping skills help us to stay grounded and supported, while others helped us to survive at some point, but maybe draining us now, right? So this is a matter of a conversation to explore our coping skills, how we are currently coping, bringing that into a more forefront and into awareness. So that way you can see what coping skills are actually helpful and which coping skills are unhelpful, okay? So just really taking the time to understand that, okay? Thank you, Bristol Jones. Not sure why that would be funny, but that's okay. All right, so then diving in. Oh, by the way, if this is your first time, my name is Debbie. I'm a certified mindfulness coach, a meditation coach. Our channel is where we go to explore wellness through several different lenses. So through meditation, through practical coping skills, right? Through mindfulness, to help make everyday life more present and meaningful. So if you haven't already, make sure to like the live, make sure to share the live with someone that you feel can be that this will be beneficial to, and subscribe. Why not? Okay, make sure to subscribe if you feel like this is going to be helpful. This live, hello Timothy. This live is done every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we talk about different topics that are voted on by the subscribers. So this week was voted on coping skills. So this is why this is the topic. Next week, we will dive into stress more in detail. But yeah, let's dive in now. When it comes to coping skills, we have four. Is it four? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 4 ways to, or 4 steps rather, to understand your coping skills a little bit better. When it comes to affirmations at the end, there's about 4 affirmations that you can take away. Okay, just a second here, y'all. And okay, all right. So let's dive into number 1, which is just a second. Which is understanding what coping skills are and how they show up currently, right? So step 1 is to understand what coping skills are and how they show up currently. So I did talk about it a little bit more, but I'm going to read a little bit more of a definition. I talked about this earlier, but coping skills are the ways we try to manage stress, emotions, or difficult situations. Some help us feel grounded, while others are more distractions. Some protect us, but end up hurting us in the long term. They are different from defense mechanisms. So you may hear the term defenses, and then you may hear the term coping skills. Defenses are internal, so it's what's happening emotionally and cognitively internally that you're doing to cope. And then coping skills are what you do externally. So for example, if you have an argument with a friend, internally you may shut down or withdraw from the conversation. That would be considered a defense or defensive. Externally, you may eat a cookie to feel better. That would be considered coping, okay? So coping skills are often what we have subconsciously taught ourselves to survive, right? Whether that be through childhood or just in life in general, being based off of our own traumas and our own experiences. Our goal in understanding coping skills is to notice what is helpful and not so helpful, because of the fact that a lot of it happens subconsciously and we don't necessarily realize or know or understand that these things are happening and maybe creating more stress or more anxiety or more frustration. So just a second here. Bear with me, y'all. Hello, Miss Robin. Welcome in. Okay. So that's point number 1. Understanding what coping skills are and how they show up, right? So even just asking yourself, what is it that I do to cope, right? When I'm stressed, what is my first instinct? And that's going to come up in our next step, which is basically to identify and differentiate what is healthy and unhealthy, right? What's supportive and restoring versus what's draining and harmful, right? Not necessarily what's good or bad, because we don't want to think about coping skills as technically being good or bad. It's more so because this is like a learned behavior that happens subconsciously. So you don't want to get yourself into a point of guilt or shame or like beating yourself up surrounding coping skills, right? But you do want to understand like what is actually helping, what is actually supportive, what is actually restoring versus what is draining, what is harmful, what is hurtful, right? So just a second, y'all. Um, okay, y'all. All right, cool. So differentiating the difference between healthy and unhealthy. So when I am stressed, I cope by fill in the blank, right? When I feel stress, what's the first thing that I do? Or what is my first instinct, right? Is the first thing that I do when I'm stressed, is it complain? Is the first thing that I do when I'm stressed, is it to cry? Is it to eat? Is it to shop? Is it to isolate? Like really think about the actions that you take when you're stressed, and then figure out which ones are healthy and which ones are unhealthy. Hi, Shaphonia, welcome in. So the questions I had here is when I'm stressed, I cope by fill in the blank, and then hi 93 love, welcome in, welcome in. When I'm stressed, I cope by fill in the blank. When I feel stressed, what is the first thing I do, or what is my first instinct? What helps me feel safe in the moment, even if it doesn't help long term. So that's another thing that you can think of as far as like what are the coping skills that you're actually dealing with. What coping skills did I learn growing up? So how did you cope growing up as a child, as you were growing up? What were some of the things that you would do, and see how that relates to what you do now, right? Which habits leave me feeling drained and burdened afterwards, right? So if you have a coping skill that you do, but after you do that or implement that thing, does it make you feel worse, right? Thinking about all of the things when it comes to healthy and unhealthy coping skills. A few examples of what that would look like, and I kind of broke these down into 3 different sections. So healthy coping is supportive, balanced coping is supportive, but if used excessively can be harmful, and then unhealthy coping is protective but draining, okay? So if you're taking notes, make sure to write that down so you're able to have the differentiation between the 3. Healthy coping is supportive, and I'll also add in restorative. Balanced coping is supportive, but if used excessively can be harmful. And unhealthy coping is protective but draining, okay? Few examples. Healthy coping could be, like we talk about all the time, mindfulness, deep breathing, talking to someone or talking to a friend, resting, journaling, prayer, meditation, setting boundaries, movement, walking, creativity, hobbies, right? Those are all things that could be, and there's plenty more, but those are all things that you could utilize that are going to be more healthy for you. Balanced examples would be, and again, this is supportive, but if used excessively, can be harmful. Watching a television show or movie, social media, shopping, calling a friend, eating, right? So yeah, you may eat a snack and that makes you feel better. It's a way to cope. But then if you eat or overeat, that could create physical issues by gaining weight or having diabetes or high cholesterol or just feeling sick after eating so much. So even though it could be supportive in one instance, it can also be harmful if used excessively. Calling a friend can be helpful, but if you call the wrong friend, may not be as helpful, y'all. Shopping can be helpful, just having that retail therapy if you have the budget for it, right? But if you don't have the budget for it and you decide to shop, then it can be harmful. Social media, right? We always run into that doom scrolling, right? You may go to on social media, and even you're now on social media and you're watching something that may be helpful, but if you're on social media that makes you fall into comparison or fall into frustrations, or just is overwhelming and overstimulating, then that could turn into being harmful. And then again, same with watching TV, right? You may want to watch a funny movie to help lighten the mood, but sitting and watching TV all day could create a feeling of depression or stuckness or not being fruitful or productive within your day, right? Which can then turn into a draining feeling, right? Or even a feeling of just purposeless, right? All I did was watch TV today. Now you feel guilt and you feel shame, and even some depression may fall into place because of the fact that there was no productivity. So those are the balanced coping skills. And then unhealthy coping skills, I'm pretty sure we know are, and I won't even assume that, but overworking, overcommitting yourself, avoidance, emotional eating, overspending, scrolling for hours, people pleasing, perfectionism. I mentioned comparisons, excessive multitasking, seeking validation or reassurance. And addictive behaviors. This addictions are typically linked to coping, right? Many times people fall into an addiction because they're trying to find ways to cope with a particular situation. And because they're resulting to something that is addictive, it over time becomes more difficult to break that habit. So a lot of times when people are even dealing with, recovering from addiction, a lot of that work is basically based on coping skills and finding new ways to cope outside of those addictive behaviors. So those are all things that would be considered or could be considered unhealthy. Okay, so what you want to do for yourself is taking the time to ask yourself the questions that we talked about earlier. When I'm stressed, I cope by fill in the blank. When I feel stressed, what's the first thing I do, or what is my first instinct? And you want to start placing them in these categories of what is healthy coping, what is balanced coping, and what is unhealthy coping. And the more that you're able to distinguish between all three of the areas, then from there you'll be able to make a decision on how you're going to change behaviors in the next round, right? In the next step. Thank you, 93 Love. I hope that this is helpful. Let me know in the comments, y'all. Drop a heart if this is helpful, if this is resonating. Let me know. Okay, so there's 8 of us in here. So thank you all for joining and sitting with me. That was step number 2. So identify and differentiate what is healthy and what is unhealthy. Number 3, gain a deeper understanding of unhealthy coping skills, right? Gain a deeper understanding of unhealthy coping skills. Thank you, Shaphonia. So we already talked about putting all of these things. Thank you, Hiru. We talked about putting all of these things in these different buckets, right? Healthy coping, balanced coping, and then unhealthy coping. Now, digging into the unhealthy coping, that list that you have, there's some areas and questions that you can ask yourself there, right? So just to mention, sometimes our unhealthy coping skills create more stress, more harm, more fatigue, right? And we think that it's helping, and maybe on the surface it is, but then later on down the line, you start to notice that it actually was not so helpful. And even when you think of the balanced coping skills, it could be, helpful at some point, and then it goes to excessive, and then now you realize, okay, this maybe is not the best idea, or not the right thing to do, right? Okay, Zach. Hurting myself, thank you. I'm not sure what to take from that, but okay. Okay, so that was number 3. Gain a deeper understanding of healthy coping skills. So the first question you want to ask yourself when it comes to those unhealthy ones is, what is the coping skills purpose, right? What are you trying to accomplish? All right. Oh, okay, Zach. I was like, I'm not quite sure what that means. I hope that means a good thing, not a bad thing. So what is the purpose of the coping skill? Is the purpose of the skill to avoid? Is it to be or remain in denial, right? Is it to provide yourself relief? Is it to distract yourself? Is it a matter of taking control of a situation, right? Or is it a matter of protection? All right. So thinking about what is the reason, what is the purpose for this coping skill? What is it actually solving or attempting to solve for me? And then ask yourself, is this actually working? Is this actually creating protection? Is this actually, putting me in a state of control, right? Is this giving me or providing me relief? Is it actually providing me relief, right? Is it working or is it causing more harm? Really take the time to understand that. Okay? Thank you. Moderator in the room. Thank you. Thank you. So really taking the time to understand the purpose and what it is you're trying to solve. What is the need, right? So if you're people who may have an addiction, the reason for them having that coping skill may be relief, them looking for relief or trying to find some form of relief, right? If you are overspending, the goal or purpose may be just to feel better or to make yourself happy or to give yourself some excitement, right? Or some type of dopamine hit, right? We hear all the time people talking about, having a dopamine hit. It could be that, right? If you are overworking, that could be avoidance, right? You avoiding a particular situation, and in that avoidance, that gives you some relief for a short period of time because now you're focused somewhere else. But then when you go home at night and then you're wondering why you're having a hard time sleeping or a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep, or you're having racing thoughts, it's because you're living in a life of avoidance by overworking, but it's not necessarily helping. It's actually prolonging the feelings and emotions that you're having about this particular situation. And with it being more prolonged, then that's causing more harm or causing more damage, right? I'm trying to make sure I'm giving some examples here, but that's what I would think of when I'm thinking about purpose. What is it actually solving, and is it actually working, or is it causing harm? Another question is, what is it trying to protect or avoid? Avoidance is a huge thing when it comes to coping skills, and some things you can avoid and let it brush off your shoulders, right? But there's other things that you can avoid that you're basically pushing off to the future. And the more that you continue to push off to the future, the more you have this internal conflict within yourself of, I'm trying to cope, I'm trying to get through it, but I also know that this thing is looming and I have to do something about it. So especially if it's something that you're avoiding that you have to take action on, that distraction or that avoidance of a coping skill may not be helpful because it's prolonging things. So you want to really think through, is it causing harm? Is it working? Is it really protecting me? Is it creating avoidance, right? Another question you could ask yourself is, what need is this behavior trying to meet, right? What need is this coping skill trying to meet? And is it meeting it? Is it meeting the need? Many times we think that it may be just because of it's something that we do subconsciously or something that we've always done. But in this work, when it comes to understanding coping skills, you want to be curious about everything, even the things that work, right? Yeah, this works, but why do I do this thing? Where does this thing come from? And it's not necessarily saying that you have to change it or replace it. It's just all about awareness. The more aware you are, the more you will know and understand why you're using these certain skills and why some are working and why some are not working. And then it helps you to maybe apply some of those healthy skills in other areas. that you're currently have an unhealthy skill. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing any other questions. What need is this behavior trying to meet? When I do this coping skill, what does it do to my body? That's a big question, because many times we're doing coping skills and it may help us cognitively, it may help us, within our brain, but it harms our body, right? Like overeating. In our brain, we're like, oh, I feel so much better. But in our body's like, ugh, I feel sick. I feel like I want to throw up. I'm bloated. I, have cramps. Your body could be telling you, the opposite. So it's not just about what it's doing to you mentally, but it's also what it's doing to you physically, right? Like I mentioned before, if you're overeating, you're eating a lot of sugar. If it is it maybe overeating, the wrong things or eating the wrong things. And I say this as somebody that emotionally eats, okay? I emotionally ate last week, okay? So I'm not saying this to shun or judge anyone. I'm also a part of this too. But understanding not just what it does to you mentally, but what it does to you physically could also pinpoint a missing piece to whether something is healthy or whether something is unhealthy, right? Or if it's balanced. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. No, that's it. I think those are the best questions to ask yourself to dive deeper into understanding. Understandable, Gwen. Like, listen, it happens, and that's okay. This isn't a matter of us really beating ourselves up or being really judgmental in this. Please be compassionate with yourself. Be kind with yourself as you're journaling through these things. But it's just a matter of bringing awareness and understanding that you can, even in the resulting to eating, that's actually okay. Just do it in moderation, right? Making sure that it stays in that balanced bucket versus that unhealthy bucket, right? If you're going to eat a snack and you know that it's something that, you want to make yourself feel better, maybe, have it. And this is something that me and my sister talk about often, is maybe putting it in a baggie versus you taking the whole thing of Oreos, right? Instead of you taking the whole pack of Oreos and sitting on the couch, maybe take a few out, put it in a bag, and then put the rest of it up, and then sit on the couch, eat your 6 Oreos or whatever, right? So just doing it in moderation or in a more balanced way, so that way it's helpful but not harmful. Because if you sit and eat a whole pack of Oreos, you're going to feel sick. I know the teeth is going to feel like they're going to start pulsating, like it's not going to be good, right? So just keeping that in mind, okay? We're all human. It's going to happen, right? It's just a matter of being aware to the point where you can set a boundary for yourself. Okay, so that was number 3, gain a deeper understanding of unhealthy coping skills. All right. So number 1 was to understand what coping skills are and how they show up currently. Number 2 is identify and differentiate what is healthy and unhealthy. And then once we found what was unhealthy, we gained a deeper understanding of the unhealthy coping skills. And then from there, begin to intentionally shift, right? It's not even about replacing all of the unhealthy skills. It's about replacing or moderating those unhealthy coping skills, right? We don't want to put ourselves, again, this isn't about judgment. This is about kindness and compassion. These are things that you taught yourself out of survival or safety, right? So we don't necessarily want to beat ourselves up about, okay, well, why are you doing it this way or why are you doing this? It's more so of awareness for us to then be able to shift and make better choices. The first thing that you want to understand when beginning to intentionally shift your coping skills is to know that you have control, right? You have control of your actions, and experimenting with what works is okay, right? Like I said, coping skills and even defense mechanisms are all going to start in the subconscious. It's something that's going to automatically happen because it's something that you have unknowingly trained yourself. Now, with awareness, you can begin to shift. And even when we talk about our brains, and neuroscience specifically states that you have the ability to change and shift how your brain works, right? It's called neuroplasticity, where you're able to, with new changes and new thought patterns and with curiosity and challenging yourself mentally, you can then start to shift how your brain automates itself, which is a beautiful thing. In that, it does take intentionality and awareness. And with this particular exercise, this is the beginning of that, right? The more that you are more cognitive and more aware of what's happening, you can then intentionally make different decisions. It's not going to be easy all of the time. You're not going to get it perfect, right? This is not about perfection. This is about a slow, gradual process of shifting how you cope with stress. And the more that you're able to fuel yourself with more healthy ways of coping with stress, the better off you will be when it comes to, not necessarily, because we're all going to have some levels of stress, right? Like we're human and life is stressful. We live in a stressful world right now. But you'll be able to navigate it with more resilience, with more awareness, and you can maybe even slow down the process of what stress is impacting or how it's impacting you in your body, or eliminate it in some areas, right? So this is about progress. This isn't about an overnight change. That was my soapbox. I kind of went in on that, but I always like to, before I tell people about changing or making an adjustment, know that within this, there is time that will come. It's going to happen over time. Okay, so begin to intentionally shift, replace, or moderate unhealthy coping skills. So the first question you want to ask yourself when you're looking at these unhealthy coping skills is there a healthier way to meet that need? Based off of the purpose that you found in section 3, is there a better way to meet that need? Okay, journal that out. If so, what small action can I take to shift my behavior? Okay, and this even goes back to our habits talk when we talked about building better habits. I want to say, I can't remember how many weeks ago that was. It was a couple of weeks back, but we did a live on building better habits, and I think it might have been a two session one. But going back and thinking about habits is a good way to add to the coping skills conversation. But if so, what small action can I take to shift my behaviors? The next question is, which supportive coping skill feels realistic for me to practice right now? So if you're thinking of new coping skills or ways that you can replace these coping skills, what is something that feels realistic, right? Because sometimes we get into these self-help modes where we want to try all of these different things, and we pick things just because someone suggested it, not necessarily thinking about whether it's realistic for you, right? And whether you like that thing, right? I had a client that we talked about exercise, and she's like, listen, I'm not about to exercise. It's not about to happen. So let's think of something else, right? So I can mention to her and say, hey, yeah, like let's have you exercise. And she can take that advice, but is it feasible for her, right? So think about all of the suggestions that you may come up with, or all of the things that you may find as far as coping skills, but really think about whether it's actually realistic for you. Is this something that I can do? Is this something that I can commit to? And if not, maybe it's something that I can break down into smaller pieces. So maybe I won't go to the gym and exercise for an hour, but maybe I'll turn on a video and do some stretching for 15 minutes a day. So really think about what that thing is, and if it's something that you feel like you would enjoy or would like to do. And then from there, based off of your preferences, based off of what you can do, based off of your schedule, based off of your capabilities, is it realistic? Is it something that I can actually do? Okay. Um, Thinking about your balanced coping skills and putting a healthy coping skill in front of that balanced one, right? So, for example, before I do this, I will do this, right? So maybe your coping skill is I want to watch a movie, but that's more balanced versus it being a healthy one, right? So before I watch a movie, I'll do 5 to 10 seconds of deep breathing, right? Before I doom scroll, before I jump on social media, I'll do 10 minutes of journaling my thoughts and emotions right now, right? So thinking about before I do this, I will do this. It's a matter of giving yourself a reward and a coping skill that you think is more fun or more exciting that may not be as healthy, right? Because we don't want to sit and watch TV all day. But not replacing it, but putting something in front of it, putting a healthy one in front of it, right? Before I go out shopping, I'm going to sit and pray for 10 minutes, right? Or I'm going to do a meditation for 10 minutes, right? So thinking of before I do this, I will do this. And that's the beginning of if you want to replace something, you can, right? So if you're looking to replace doom scrolling with something else, that's a way to gently nudge yourself to do it. Or it's a way to at least give yourself some immediate relief in a healthy way while doing something that you enjoy, right? So that's one thing. I think another thing would be instead of this is if you're looking to replace, right? So instead of this, I will try this. I say I will try because it's again a process, right? It's something that we're trying to move towards. I missed the comment. Your meditations are a coping skill for me. Thank you for those. Oh, absolutely. You're welcome. I'm glad that they're helpful. And if there's any suggestions of meditations that you guys want, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Where was I at? That was, okay, so instead of this, I will try this. And then lastly, shifting to healthy coping skills isn't about being perfect. We talked about this, right? It's about small, intentional choices that build resilience and self-trust. It's all about finding ways to not even just build resilience, but to trust yourself. To be able to trust yourself to take the actions and to do the behaviors and to make the choices that you would like to make, right? And the more intentional you are about coping skills, the more that you'll be able to trust yourself when it comes to managing and dealing with stress, okay? Hi, L. Russell, welcome in. So that's the 4 steps, y'all. So it is, let me go back to the top before we go to affirmations. Understand what coping skills are and how they show up currently. Number 2 was identify and differentiate what is healthy and unhealthy. And then gain a deeper understanding of unhealthy coping skills. And then number 4 is begin to intentionally replace or moderate unhealthy coping skills. Okay. So I hope this is helpful. I have 4 affirmations that you can take away. L. Russell, what was your question? I hope it's about the topic, because I know sometimes y'all be wilding. But if you have a legitimate question about the topic of coping skills, yes, please ask your question. Okay, what is it about? What is it about mindfulness? Is it about, what is it? What is the question? And affirmations, as he's typing his question, or their question, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a male, female. Affirmations for healthy coping, I have 4. They're a little bit longer. So feel free to write the affirmations down however you wish to use them or write them. Okay, well, you can always email questions if you don't feel comfortable putting it in the comment section. That's okay. But yes, affirmations, feel free to use them however you wish to. Feel free to write them down on a sticky note. Feel free to recite them if you wish to. Feel free to change the language if it makes more sense to do so. And also you can build on them, right? So if you have one that you like and you want to add more or create more with that, do that, okay? So first affirmation, let's see here. First affirmation is, I am learning to respond to stress with awareness and care. I am learning to respond to stress with awareness and care. I'll say that one last time. I am learning to respond to stress with awareness and care. All right. Many times that when it comes to stress, we are just reacting. We're not responding. Okay. And we want to make sure that as we are navigating stress, that we find ways to respond versus react. Because a lot of times our reactions are going to be impulsive. They're not going to be the most sound reactions. They're not going to be lucid, right? So finding ways to respond to our stress with intentionality versus reacting to our stress, which is not at the most proactive thing, is the beginning to healing, right? It's the beginning to changing and growth, okay? So I am learning to respond to stress with awareness and care. Number 2, I am capable of choosing coping skills that nourish my mind, body, and spirit. I am capable of choosing coping skills that nourish my mind, body, and spirit. I'll say that again. I am capable of choosing coping skills that nourish my mind, body, and spirit. Okay? You want to pick coping skills that are nourishing, that are supportive, and that are restoring. Okay? If it doesn't restore you, if it doesn't nurture you, if it doesn't calm you, if it doesn't provide some form of relief, then I would question whether it's a actual coping skill or if the coping skill is effective. Okay? So I am capable of choosing coping skills that nourish my mind, body, and spirit. Number 3, healthy coping strengthens me. I give myself permission to pause and notice my strength. Healthy coping strengthens me. I give myself permission to pause and notice my strength. I'll say it again. Healthy coping strengthens me. I give myself permission to pause and notice my strength. Okay? So coping skills, they're going to strengthen you, the healthy ones, when it comes to resilience, right? The more that you're able to cope in a healthy way, the more resilient you will be, the more that you will be able to regulate your emotions and to regulate your stress. And it again goes back to building self-confidence, right? The more that you're able to cope well, the more that you'll be able to believe and trust in yourself, right? To believe and trust in yourself to navigate difficult situations, difficult conversations, difficult scenarios. The more that you are able to build up your coping mechanisms or your coping skills, the better off you will be, right? And as you are growing within that, you'll be able to notice and see the more strengths that you have, right? A lot of times we're pinpointing all of our weaknesses, especially when it comes to coping. And having healthy coping skills gives you the space to see your strengths rather than your weaknesses, okay? So, and not to say you don't need to see your weaknesses. You want to be aware of your weaknesses, but blowing them up to the extent to where you're unable to see your strengths is where unhealthy coping comes from. Okay? So can't talk today. Healthy coping strengthens me. I give myself permission to pause and notice my strength. Okay? Number 4, this is the last one. I am patient with myself as I grow. I can feel my emotions and still take wise action. I am patient with myself as I grow. I can feel my emotions and still take wise actions. I'll say that again. I am patient with myself as I grow. I can feel my emotions and still take wise action. Okay? Laughing at me. So this is just a matter of understanding that you can be compassionate and patient with yourself. You can be kind to yourself as you're growing, okay? And you can have these difficult emotions and still make the right choices. You can be in a emotive state, or you can be angry, or you can be frustrated, or you can be confused, or you can be sad, or there's so many very difficult emotions that you could have and still make the wise action. You can still make the right decision. Okay. And sometimes we feel like because we feel the difficult emotions that we're not healed or that we're not growing. And really, emotions are just teachers. I say this all the time. Emotions are teachers of what we need, and also of what the needs of others around us, right? So understanding that just because you feel bad, just because you have these emotions and feelings, one, understand they're temporal, they're going to come and go, right? But also that doesn't mean that you have to make the unwise choice just because you feel like your emotion is not a good emotion. I honestly feel like there is no such thing of necessarily bad emotions. It's just a matter of those emotions coming up and teaching us what is happening, right? So if I'm anxious, we may see that as a bad emotion, but really it's just saying that I care about something and I have to do something about what I'm feeling, right? Doesn't necessarily mean I have to do something about the thing, no. But I do want to do something about what I'm feeling, right? We may see anger as a bad emotion, but it's really just teaching us about something we care about, right? It's teaching us about something we are passionate about, right? So it's not necessarily a bad emotion. It's more so of, even though I feel this thing, I can still make and take the right actions and behaviors. Okay? You have that power. You have that ability. And even though you may not feel like you have the ability in the moment, you still have the ability and capability. All right? Off my soapbox. I hope this was helpful, y'all. I'll go back to the top of the affirmations. Number 1 was, I am learning to respond to stress with awareness and care. Number 2, I am capable of choosing coping skills that nourish my mind, body, and spirit. Number 3, healthy coping strengthens me. I give myself permission to pause and notice my strength. And then number 4, I am patient with myself as I grow. I can feel my emotions and still take wise action. Okay? You're welcome, Gwen. Thank you, 93 Love. Hi, Marcel. Yes, welcome in, welcome in. So I hope this was helpful, y'all. I hope that this has given you some insight as to where to start with journaling, especially when it comes to stress and coping skills. We'll dive into stress more next week. I think that was the second one that was voted on. I think what did it say? I think it was, why am I stressed? I think that was the topic. So we'll dive into why I am stressed, right? And this all kind of works in together, right? Once you know why you're stressed, then you'll be able to kind of talk about coping skills and really apply coping skills in the right way. So I hope this is helpful, y'all. Again, if you have not done it yet, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and click the button. You're welcome, Hiru. Go ahead and click the button if you haven't already. You also, if you haven't done so, go to our website. It's haveninspired.com and sign up for the mindfulness newsletter that goes out every Wednesday. It also gives updates about this live, so that way you can stay up to date in case you miss anything. I always send the links out. If there's anything that you want to see from me on this channel, please let me know. You can email me at info@haveninspired.com. And I need to update a lot of meditation. So you most likely want to get a lot of meditations this week, because I fell behind last week, because guess what? It was the holiday and I took my little break. Okay. Make sure I'm not missing anything else. I do events, y'all. So if you're looking, especially for corporate events, so if you're looking for someone for speaking engagements, if you're looking for workshops, mindfulness workshops for in the workplace, let me know. I'm starting to book for next year for several different corporate events, and they're virtual and in person. So even if you're looking to do something virtual, let me know. And yeah, that's everything, y'all. I hope y'all stay blessed this week, and I will see you next Monday, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to talk about this stress, y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye. Thank you, Shafonia. Bye.